konflik Aceh yang sudah hampir berlangsung hampir 25 tahun lah pada waktu itu, antara gerakan Aceh Merdeka dengan pemerintah. Jadi saya minta Presiden Ibu Megawati untuk saya tangani.
2002, we were on the airplane. I was sleeping and Pak Yusuf Kalla next to me woke me up, say, Hamid, we have to start working on Aceh. The nation had already suffered because of this conflict. And I said, well, you give me the command, I'm ready. From now on, read all necessary documents regarding Aceh, the history of Aceh, the history of the movement. What I have to memorize is the name of the leaders and their backgrounds or their hobbies. Pak Yusuf Kalla told me, you have to know the psychology of the person.
Peta buku dari Aceh pun saya bikin. Kota apa ini? Siapa sejarahnya? Siapa gubernurnya?
He trained me like a schoolboy. Hamid, repeat it again. Hamid, repeat it again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see.
Butuh kira-kira 2 minggu untuk mempersiapkan tim ini. Jadi perlu persiapan detail itu. Jadi itulah sehingga mereka mulai pada bulan akhir Januari.
I'm Damien Kingsbury. I was banned from Indonesia in December 2004. So I have to do this interview from Australia. I've never had the reason formally explained to me, but I understand that I'm regarded as persona non grata, enemy of the state. Perhaps the Indonesian government think I cause more trouble than I solve. I was political advisor to the Free Aceh movement. Indonesia is 13,000 inhabited islands, 17,000 islands in total. It's a fragmented archipelago geographically. Aceh is at the head of the Malacca Straits and historically has had an incredibly important strategic role. In much the same way that Singapore came to have later. It was a major trading centre. It was essential to the Indonesian idea of what it meant to be Indonesian.
When I was a young boy, my parents, they always talk about the glorious history of Aceh. Aceh was one of the richest states in this part of the world. We got everything. Surplus food, surplus land. We got all the commodities. Our sea is very rich with fishery. When what is now called Indonesia taken by the Dutch, Aceh was the only independent state in this neighborhood. Until the Dutch invaded us, they had very hard time to subdue the Acehnese until 1908. After that, the Dutch occupied Aceh. When the Dutch given independence to Indonesia, Aceh was integrated. Acehnese at that time supported the formation of Indonesia. Well, it's good. Aceh be part of Indonesia, a bigger nation. Right? But we feel disappointed the way they treat Aceh as colony. For example, at that time, there was a big gas field in Aceh. So the Indonesian government just take that resources for the central government.
Aceh Utara, ya, itu kaya itu sumber alam. Tapi kenyataannya kemudian Aceh itu tidak tercermin dari kekayaan itu. Hanya masih banyak orang yang miskin, menderita, infrastruktur tidak baik. Intinya persoalan. Sampai itu persoalan lain.
This is not right. Not right. Why the central government treat us in that way? We better get independent from Indonesia. I'm one of the founding member of the GAM movement.
I always supported the movement, but that fact was known only to the top leadership.
I was in Kuala Lumpur, I worked with foreign embassy.
At that time, GAM was not very popular. Acehnese were tired of war, or they want peace. They had like 80 members leadership in the jungle, but they're all intellectuals.
At first, we are not advocate for fighting, but the answer from the central government at the time, by force. Many innocent people, especially young men, they are suspect to be GAM members. They were arrested, tortured, killed.
And I think in Jakarta the view was the state was too fragile and we need to hold it together by force. And hence the role of the military as the guarantor of state cohesion. So there was that level of commitment to retaining Aceh regardless of the cost.
But when the TNI start killing people at random and even preventing people from burying them, suddenly, I dare say, if not 90-85% of Acehnese were all for GAM because they were very angry.
So I decided at the time, no, we have to fight back.
The Acehnese, the more you beat them, the more they fight.
That's what we did. And that's what lasted for 30 years.
For me, dancing is really good way to bring positive mind in life. Even you have traumatic, we translate that story with movement. With hip hop, I can tell my story and then I can represent where I came from. I was born 1987. That time, it's still conflict. I remember when I was junior high school. Before Maghrib, we have to go back home because when the night starts, it's not safe outside. Army everywhere. Setiap hari itu ada suara tembak, ada suara perang. Ada beberapa masyarakat, dia kayak jadi sasaran pertanyaan daripada tentara. Apakah itu dia membantu GAM, kasih makanan atau apa itu. Kita memang GAM itu saudara ataupun keluarga. Kasih makan kan normal kan. Tapi bagi tentara kan siapapun yang bantu semua sama, semua akan disiksa.
Orang mati, dibuang mayatnya di tengah jalan, di pinggir jalan. Banyak betul orang mati di Aceh. Saya berpikir macam mana nih mengakhiri keributan ini. Ada orang katakan masuklah lewat GAM. Nah, saya ngomong-ngomong sama mereka, ini saya mau melakukan sesuatu. Ya, diterima.
So many things. Heinous things happened in Aceh at that time. So there are two possibilities. Either one will totally defeat, or it ended with negotiation. Rahman Wahid as president make an initiative to negotiate.
Kita memang bagaimanapun harusnya menyelesaikan masalah Aceh dengan segera, secara tuntas, dan dengan demikian kita akan menuju kepada era baru.
The international community at the time advocates us to negotiate to settle the problem. Indonesia agreed. So okay, we also agree.
The fruits was the cessation of hostilities agreement, the COHA, with the creation of zone of peace. But, well, you know what happened to that also, right? That failed, huh? I don't think the Indonesian is very interested in peace, neither were we.
and then war continued. And then international community persuaded Indonesia and us to continue the meeting in Tokyo. The Indonesians asked us to surrender the arms and dismantle GAM movement. And this is something we cannot accept it.
Dan ternyata GAM misalnya saja bersikukuh untuk tetap berjuang untuk kepentingan merdeka, ya kita tidak ada alternatif lain bahwa gerakan militer terpaksa kita lakukan.
We said that we came here to salvage the Koha, not to hear this demand.
So of course, call up.
It is the Indonesia's wish to continue the war upon the Acehnese.
Maka Presiden Republik Indonesia mengambil keputusan pada malam hari ini untuk menetapkan Provinsi Nanggro Aceh Darussalam dalam keadaan bahaya dengan status darurat militer.
Within half an hour, 30,000 soldiers crossed the border to Aceh from Medan.
The Indonesian military has launched rocket attacks against rebel bases in Aceh. The assault opens one of Indonesia's biggest military offensives since the East Timor invasion.
So back to war again.
Indonesia's military chief has ordered his troops to hunt down and wipe out separatist rebels in Aceh.
Some 50,000 troops are expected to take on 5,000 Acehnese rebels.
Ibu Mega, she is a hardliner. She closed Aceh for foreign visitors. Even the diplomat cannot go to Aceh. Aceh was closed and they start the military operation.
Di GAM melakukan khususnya apa untuk seluruh Aceh.
Anak semua datang, sudah datang.
Ada satu wartawan, William Nelson. Dia mencari penterjemah dari bahasa Aceh ke bahasa Inggris. Saya taruh diri waktu meliput di Pasir itu. Meliput di Pasir Aceh Utara.
Job of the journalist is to go to those places where things are not clear. And try and make it clear to the rest of the world. Within a kilometer of us are at least, 180 TNE. There's a sense that something's going to happen tonight. What do they want? They want a separate country. Huh?
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
That is bad because Indonesia is just one country from Sabang to until Merauke, many islands, but Indonesian country.
We are walking around the road that the ambush is supposed to happen on. Almost everybody has left. They are scared of the TNE, Indonesian military. and police. We're in the middle where there's a bloody war going on. If we were to be seen right now, we would run. These men would be taken in and tortured if caught. Sometimes you think this is what they want to leave here in Aceh. A bunch of cows and burnt houses.
Tahun 2003 ya, saya udah pindah ke Jakarta, membawa nomor handphone tadi. Dilacak-lacak oleh polisi. Sebulan saya disimpan di situ, di Polda Metro. Kemudian dibawa ke Aceh. Udah panasnya perang. Dan itu baru dipindah ke penjara.
Nah setelah itulah darurat militer. Saya jadi pangkop TNI di Aceh. As a person, bukan sebagai prajurit ya. As a person, I have to say, sympathy. Kenapa? Dia memperjuangkan hak atas ketidakadilan yang terjadi ketika itu. Aku bisa paham as a human being. Tapi sebagai prajurit tidak dong, karena my mission must be accomplished. Saya kenal William Nelson tuh jauh sebelum itu. Dia mengaku dia wartawan dari Amerika. Ya buat saya, karena tidak ada sesuatu yang harus saya sembunyikan kan. Saya belakangan tahu bahwa dia itu justru sering ada di dalam apel-apelnya orang-orang GAM itu. Jadi saya baru tahu bahwa William Nelson itu membuat rekaman, malah dia memburuk-burukan kita.
Does the TNI ever torture people? The military, do they ever torture people? What do you think? Not you, but do you think sometimes commanders?
I think sometimes, maybe. Since I'm here, a lot of soldiers arrested.
For doing what?
Because doing something, a bad thing.
Selama konflik Aceh, banyak yang dilakukan oleh GAM itu melakukan pelanggaran HAM. Bukan hanya TNI, polisi yang melakukan pelanggaran. Dua pihak melakukan pelanggaran HAM, asli sudah sama, nggak ada bedanya.
Untuk memberikan dukungan penuh untuk bersama-sama bekerja keras, menyingsingkan lengan baju.
Waktu Ibu Mega jadi presiden, minta saya menteri koordinator bidang kesejahteraan rakyat yang menangani masalah-masalah pengungsi, antara lain masalah kesejahteraan rakyat, masalah-masalah sosial. Memang ada sebelumnya konflik Aceh yang sudah hampir berlangsung hampir 25 tahun lah penuh. Jadi saya minta Presiden Ibu Megawati untuk saya tangani. Waktu itu tahun 2000 akhir 2001 terjadi konflik di Poso dan Ambon. Hanya 15 hari saya bisa damaikan Poso. Begitu juga kemudian 3 bulan kemudian saya selesaikan Ambon lagi. Saya bikin tim itu lagi, yang inti pokoknya Hamid, Farid.
GAM is brutal, GAM people is inhuman, all kind of bad images, they occupy my mind since I was in high school. So when the challenge came to me, I immediately say, yes sir, I will do the job. For me, making peace is a hobby. I'm always excited doing this kind of project, this kind of job. Because I feel being so useful.
Year 2001, I came to University of Indonesia to start my PhD dissertation on conflict resolution. When the Koha agreement was discontinued, I was familiar following it very intensively. I analyzed what would I do differently. I haven't had any previous direct experience on conflict resolution, but I have certain qualities. One is you need to be a good salesman to be able to promote peace. The other one is you need to be patient. You need to be persistent. You need to have the confidence and nerves of steel.
It's a very strange thing. Suddenly, one European from Finland came to see us. His name was Juha Christensen.
Our first meeting was end of June 2003. I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I wanted them to know who I am and what is my purpose.
He said to me, Mr. Malik, I'm interested to involve in case there will be continuation of dialogue with Indonesia in the future. So, well, I said, if you want to find out how serious the Indonesian government is, you see Mr. Yusuf Kalla.
I'm famous for being able to use my network for maximum effort, and I was able to meet Yusuf Kalla. We clicked and matched immediately because I come from private sector. It matched his very pragmatic approach.
Kalau pihak pemerintah Indonesia melawan bahagian daripada masyarakat India itu di Aceh, maka mesti ada mediator dari pihak ketiga. Setelah ada pendekatan dari Yuhai, nah itulah kemudian kita menganggap Ahtisaari, mantan presiden Finland.
My proposal was, of course, not only Ahtisaari alone himself, but his umbrella organization, Crisis Management Initiative. That would be kind of the administrative platform for the peace talk.
Juha came to see me. He said he already saw Yusuf Kalla. And according to Juha, he's a serious man. At that time, the government already changed in Indonesia with Mr. Bambang Yudhoyono and Yusuf Kalla.
The next step was to inform the GAM leadership that Indonesian government would accept President Ahtisaari as the mediator. I shared that on 24th of December, and then we had to make preparational steps for them to meet Ahtisaari. Two days later, the tsunami hit.
Saya masuk sini baru bertiga, dihajar juga beberapa kali oleh POM. Jadi sini pintu kira penjara hari itu. Saya di sana belakang, paling belakang. Tuduhan untuk saya makar. Dan saya divonis 11 tahun. Gempa besar sudah ngomong-ngomong depan sel saya. Nggak lama kemudian dengan guru. Saya suruh satu orang yang paling kurus badannya manjat dan dia panjat sampai ke atas dan teriak. Air laut naik. Saya lari ke depan tangga menuju ke atas, menuju ke musala. Air makin naik sampai sini, di tingkat 2 sampai sini. Pegang tangan saya naik ke atas loteng. Kita di bawah atap. Saya lihat di mana paku, untuk pasang paku. Dekat situ saya tinju. Copot paku, jangan drembak pakunya. Saya keluar, lalu duduk di atap yang paling tinggi. Harusnya ada mati.
powerful earthquake rocked Indonesia's Sumatra island this morning, producing a deadly ripple effect. Most of the damage has been in Aceh province.
Suruh menjadi koordinator lagi di lapangan, pelaksana harian penanggulangan tsunami di Aceh. Kalau saya lihat jumlahnya yang korban itu yang kita ketemukan lah ya, sekitar 126.000 sekian, dan menjadi internal displaced person itu lebih dari 450.000 orang gitu ya. Ini baju ini bau mayat, sebegitunya bau itu karena banyaknya korban manusia.
When tsunami struck Aceh, the international community came to see us, persuade us to continue talk with Indonesia. Because they said if there is a conflict going on, we cannot go to send humanitarian aid to Aceh. It is impossible.
We said we have to put aside everything to allow help from Medan to come in by truck.
In a way, tsunami is a blessing in disguise that hastened the peace process in Aceh.
It was, I think, 27 of December, Pak Yusuf Kalla asked me, Hamid, we had to move faster.
Karena pikiran saya tidak mungkin kita selesaikan tsunami, rehabilitasi dan rekonstruksi kerusakan yang luar biasa di Aceh itu tanpa kedamaian. Jadi tim itu saya persiapkan dengan betul. Tujuannya mempelajari sebenarnya kenapa berontak dan juga apa yang diharapkan. Anda seperti pengetahuan sama dengan orang Aceh.
Each time I came to see him, I always made a progress. Sometimes he give me a compliment, say, you pass with magna cum laude, Hamid, summa cum laude.
So when the parties agreed that they will engage into the peace initiatives, come to Helsinki, Ahtisaari made a brilliant move to choose the mansion Königstedt. It's a state entity around 30 kilometers outside of Helsinki city. No disturbances, enough room for the parties to have their private meeting rooms.
Well, I spent quite a bit of time in Indonesia. I did a PhD on Australia's relationship with Indonesia. I got to meet with the GAM people. I like them. We got along well with the tsunami and the agreement to have the peace talks. Malik Mahmud, I thought, well, perhaps I might be able to assist. So I got a call just after the tsunami hit Aceh with a request to go to Helsinki.
When we started meeting in Helsinki, our situation was so bad.
GAM in the field was struggling. They had a unilateral ceasefire in place since the tsunami, but the Indonesian military was still chasing them and killing them. They were running out of ammunition and weapons. Things were very, very difficult for the fighters.
But we have to be a very good poker player to hide all that fact, that when we started the negotiation in Helsinki, our struggle can be seen, well, except for the semangat, for the spirit, physically it's already collapsed.
The first round was 2 days meeting with the parties, introducing each other, introducing the house rules, and agreeing on the topics that we will cover.
I think on both sides there's no trust.
The reason is the suspiciousness about each other's intentions.
So there was no trust at all, and there was a very strong sense that the process would fail.
The first day of the meeting, instead of going to my seat, I was approaching the table where the GAMS delegates and shaking hands. And later on, Malik Mahmud said, Pak Hamid, I think we are going to make it. And I asked, why? He said, you are the first Indonesian delegate who give us dignity.
The head of the GAM delegation was very clearly Malik Mahmud. Hamid Awwaluddin, as the leader of the Indonesian delegation, Yusuf Kalla couldn't participate. He was too high level. He was a vice president.
Pak Hamid Awwaluddin always go around with his handphone during the negotiation with handphone on the table.
Hamid buka teleponnya, saya dengar pembicaraan. Kalaupun mereka tidak bisa menjawab, dia tanya saya langsung di perundingan itu, dan saya kasih guidance langsung.
So in a way, directly I'm negotiating with Yusuf Kalla.
Yusuf Kalla had definitely hands-on the Helsinki process every single round.
He told me, Hamid, the most important thing that you demand only two. Drop the idea of independence, including no more violence, and hand over the guns. You may negotiate the rest. But these two issues, no negotiation.
The Indonesian government insisted that GAM give up independence and accept special autonomy, which GAM said it couldn't do.
So that is almost breakdown, you know. In fact, stall at that time, you know.
I reported to Pak JK said, I told you, Hamid, the first round will be a harsh round.
One of the things I said early in the process is independence is 100%. If you end up going for 100% but you achieve zero, you end up with zero. I think it was when they started to think about the substance of what independence was meant to achieve, as opposed to independence as a word, that we made progress within GAM.
This was basically the first time that GAM was willing to participate in a peace process, putting aside independence claim.
The first round of talks was very difficult, and it looked like the talks could actually collapse quite quickly. What we were most concerned about was just how to keep the process going.
Ahtisaari said nothing is agreed until everything is agreed.
That was his line, and ultimately that was absolutely correct. Both sides recognised that if we didn't get a complete agreement, we had no agreement, and that gave us some incentive to get across the line.
Of course, we started from the more easy topics towards the more demanding and difficult ones. We made very significant progress. We had trust level and the atmosphere improved, and we were able to go quite well forward in each of the topics.
Actually, the negotiation, 70% settled outside the room. Mati Ahtisaari always say, perhaps you need fresh air outside. He's very tactical man.
Sometimes during the recess, we walk in the field together, you know, chit-chat.
There was a time three of us walked in the middle of the snow. I didn't bring my overcoat, and Malik Mahmud had overcoat. He opened up his overcoat and blanket me like this. I never thought Malik Mahmud is so kind, so polite, and very gentle people. And later on, we become a good friend until now. The longer we discuss, the more friendship that we have. And now, we are reaching the stage of sharpening those comprehensive issues that we discussed previously. Having had this, we are in position to be optimistic that we eventually reach the final agreement.
By the end of round 4, we had a lot of the substance. And then round 5 was around finessing the political detail. It was on the last day of the 5th round, and we had everything in place.
Except one point that we will keep putting aside. The final question was on local political parties.
Indonesian law says you can't have local political parties.
So the Indonesian rejected. They said, if we allow you that, every province in Indonesia would want the same.
The Indonesians kept coming back and saying, we have political parties, you just need to sign up to a party registered in Jakarta. And we said, well, of course not, because they don't represent Aceh's interests.
Wow, too bad. Nothing is agreed until everything we've agreed. We go home, meeting is off.
I'm writing up the press release for Malik saying Free Aceh Movement is very disappointed to have to announce the failure of the peace process. And I just thought, hang on, we've spent 6 months on this. We've got 99% of it's done. Why can't we get across the line with this?
He told me, Noor, you go down, ask to speak to Sofian Jalil.
And Sofian Jalil, Minister of Information of Indonesia, is Acehese.
Ask him, Acehese to Acehese, can we have local party? Yes or no? Just one answer. Sofian Jalil, call Yusuf Kala. 3 a.m. in Jakarta.
Waktu itu saya katakan, mengalihkan dari perjuangan bersenjata ke perjuangan politik. Justru itu memang tujuannya. Itu menjadi warga negara biasa yang punya hak politik, ya silakan aja.
And finally, in short, we agree.
Our job is done.
Well, I feel relieved. I feel happy about that.
I would say maybe the same feeling as athletics in the Olympic competition they feel when they win.
Every mosque in Aceh, people were praying for the success of the meeting.
Everybody was exhausted. I think the deal that we had got was probably realistically the best we were ever going to get.
Well, we hope this accord will deliver peace in Aceh, a sustainable peace in Aceh.
Kelihatan para petinggi GAM dan tokoh-tokoh bisnis Aceh serta beberapa aktivis sipil yang berhasil keluar dari Aceh mulai datang ke tempat penandatanganan. Sudah di-set up belasan kamera televisi dari stasiun-stasiun televisi terkenal dari seluruh dunia.
Under this agreement, for the first time, Aceh have their own law, their own right to preserve their own resources. This is what we call self-government.
And of course, in the context of the huge tsunami, it's only 8 months after the tsunami happened.
After a peace agreement, maybe everybody feel like, wow, finally, because when peace agreement is like two situations, we war and then tsunami. So everybody feel like, oh, it's time maybe. Some people feel like, finally we have a good life.
Artasari was correct when he said, ultimately, no peace agreement is determined by the piece of paper. It's determined by the goodwill of the parties to the agreement.
Mula-mula diminta menyerahkan senjata. Piagam mengatakan ini kita punya jiwa, kita tidak mau serahkan. Maka solusinya mungkin itu pertama di dunia itu solusi suatu konflik tidak menyerahkan senjata, tapi senjata dipotong. Karena itu dimulai pada bulan Agustus September itu dipotong di muka umum, disaksikan oleh IMM Monitoring Mission.
Aceh Monitoring Mission was critically important for the implementation of the peace agreement.
Aceh Monitoring Mission itu kira-kira terdiri daripada 250 tentara dan beberapa lawyer untuk memastikan bahwa semua isi perundingan itu dapat berjalan.
Saya adalah pelaksana harian wakil pemerintah pusat di AMM. Dari GAM itu Irwandi, tetap ada rasa ini musuh gua kemarin, ini dia yang akan membunuh gua kemarin kan. Tapi tidak ada kawan dan lawan yang abadi kecuali kepentingan.
Dan kedua pihak, tentara Indonesia dan pihak GAM, potong senjata. Dan secara bersamaan 30 batalion pulang. Jadi pada saat Desember, semua senjata sudah dipotong dan tidak ada lagi militer dari luar ada di Aceh.
I hope that the peace process here in Aceh will be the long-lasting moment, since the stability is the key factor to make the reconstruction program in Aceh a success.
Aku harus menyerahkan senjata 840 minimum. TNI harus ditarik dari Aceh, tinggal yang ori aja. Nah, kemudian masaku di AMM, waktu itu udah mulai pencalonan gubernur.
Setelah pemilu lokal, itu gubernur terpilih dari GAM, Irwandi.
Karena pembangunan Aceh pasca tsunami jatuh di tangan saya. Jalan raya, rumah tsunami, jaminan kesehatan.
Aceh people is moving, making progress. Aceh was one of the most illiterate region in the country because over 1,000 schools burned. Level of education goes up now.
Kalau kita ke Aceh kan macet juga jalan di Aceh, berarti banyak mobil. Sekarang orang bisa bawa toko-toko rumah makan bisa sampai 12 malam. Ekonomi berjalan.
Since I was junior high school, I like to watch barber. Barber is like art. Like I make money with the barbering, I support dancing. We make hip-hop festival every year. Participants from international come here. And the event is 3 days, and I hope because of dancing or hip-hop movement in Aceh, Aceh can get promoted for positive and people outside not thinking about Aceh like danger place. Yeah, we all have to work for better Aceh.
If you look at it from the outside, you could say, well, the conditions were right, the timing was right. That was true. It was still extraordinarily hard work. And it was that sense of common purpose, that really gelled us together and ultimately what allowed us to get the agreement that we got.
Indonesia has a very good term which is musyawara. Musyawara is changing views, listening to the other one to try to understand why you think this way. Through the musyawara process, you can end the dispute. That would be my wish from the remarkable Aceh peace process for the world community to follow.